My name is Imran and I'm a process facilitator. That's a fancy way of saying I help people work together. But this was my biggest challenge ever. We arrived at the Stardust Coliseum on Xylos, a planet famous for its cosmic sports tournaments. The arena was a magnificent sight, a giant crystal dome pulsing with neon lights of every color imaginable. Pink, blue, green, and gold lights danced across the polished obsidian floors. Crowds of beings from 100 different star systems chattered with excitement, their voices a symphony of clicks, whistles, and languages I'd never heard before. It was supposed to be a place of unity, a celebration of sportsmanship. But for my team, the Galactic Guardians, it felt more like a prison of mistrust. Our team was a real mix. We had two humans, me and Zara, a brilliant strategist with a knack for data. Then there was Seyra, a graceful Zephyrian whose species communicates through elegant dance-like movements. We had Kor, a hulking Gromac from a warrior planet, all muscle and stoic silence. And finally Tico, a small, furry Kalen who could zip around the field like a bolt of lightning. On paper, we were unstoppable. In reality, we couldn't even agree on what to eat for our pre-game meal. The air between us was thick with suspicion. Kor thought we humans were too fragile. Seyra believed Kor's methods were too aggressive. Tico was just scared of everyone. It was a mess. The problem was clear from the moment we stepped off our ship. Kor immediately started barking orders, treating practice like a military drill. Seyra, offended by his harsh tone, simply glided away to practice her own fluid movements in a corner, ignoring everyone else. Tico, intimidated by Kor's booming voice and Seyra's silent judgment, hid behind a stack of equipment crates, nibbling nervously on a power bar. Zara tried to show everyone her performance charts and projections, but they just waved her away. And me? I tried to start a simple get-to-know-you icebreaker, but they looked at me like I had 3 heads. We were a team in name only, a collection of individuals who happened to wear the same shiny uniforms. Our rivals, the solar flares, could smell our weakness from across the arena. They were a unified squad, moving and communicating as one. They laughed together, practiced drills with perfect synchronization, and even high-fived each other. Every time they looked our way, they had these smug grins on their faces. They knew we were fractured. They knew we were easy pickings. Walking through that dazzling arena, surrounded by the roar of the crowd and the flashing lights, I had never felt so alone. Our dream of winning the Galactic Cup felt more like a distant, impossible fantasy. The neon glow seemed to mock us, highlighting just how broken our team truly was. The first practice session was a complete disaster. It was worse than I could have imagined. Kor, taking charge as usual, set up an obstacle course that looked like it was designed for a small army, not a sports team. He expected everyone to power through it with brute force. Tico, being so small, couldn't even get over the first wall. He tried to scramble up, but his little claws couldn't find a grip.
Put your back into it, little one.
This, of course, only made Tico retreat further into his shell, trembling. It was painful to watch, and the tension in the air became so thick you could practically slice it with a laser knife. Seeing this chaos, Seyra decided to intervene in her own way. She glided to the center of the practice field and tried to lead us in what she called a harmony flow, a series of slow, meditative movements designed to sync our energies. She believed that if we could move as one, we could play as one, but her graceful slow-motion gestures were completely lost on Kor, who just stood there with his massive arms crossed, looking impatient and confused.
Pointless dancing.
He muttered something about pointless dancing under his breath, which made Seyra's elegant form stiffen with indignation.
Statistically, this type of exercise only increases team cohesion by 4.7%.
It was a total failure. The conflicts just kept getting worse. During a passing drill, Kor threw the energy ball so hard that I had to duck to avoid getting my head taken off.
You need to be tougher.
Meanwhile, Seyra insisted on passing the ball with a fancy, spinning flourish that looked beautiful but was impossible to catch. Tico was too scared to even ask for the ball, and Zara was busy analyzing our passing accuracy, loudly announcing that it was abysmally low.
Our passing accuracy is abysmally low.
We were arguing more than we were practicing. Every failed pass, every missed shot became another reason to blame someone else. The field was a war zone of egos and misunderstandings. I tried my best to mediate. I called a huddle and said, "Okay team, let's just talk about how we're feeling." It was like talking to a brick wall.
Feelings are for weaklings.
Seyra just turned her back, expressing her displeasure with a silent, dramatic pose. Tico buried his face in his furry hands. Zara started reading out statistics about the low success rate of unscheduled emotional meetings.
The success rate of unscheduled emotional meetings is extremely low.
We were going nowhere, and fast. The championship was getting closer, and we were falling apart before we even stepped onto the official field. The dream was dying, and I felt powerless to stop it. Just when I thought all hope was lost, Zara did something unexpected. She was usually quiet, lost in her world of numbers and data. But she had been observing everything, analyzing our team's dysfunction with the same intensity she applied to sports statistics. After another terrible practice, where Tico accidentally tripped Core and Core roared so loud it shook the stadium seats, Zara finally spoke up.
This isn't working. My projections show a 98.6% chance of catastrophic failure. We need a new approach. I propose a mandatory feedback huddle. No stats, no projections, just honest, direct communication.
Feedback, you mean complaining?
Seyra tilted her head, intrigued but skeptical. Tico just shivered. But I saw a spark of something in Zara's eyes. This wasn't about numbers for her anymore. This was about people. I jumped in to support her. She's right. Let's give it a try. One rule. We listen. We don't interrupt. We don't judge. We just listen. Reluctantly, pulled in by my and Zara's combined seriousness, the team shuffled into a loose circle. The air was still tense, but for the first time there was a sliver of curiosity. Maybe this crazy idea could actually work. Zara started. She looked directly at Core.
Core, your strength is incredible and your drive to win is a huge asset. But when you yell, it makes Tico and me feel scared and small. It makes us play worse because we're afraid of making a mistake. We need your strength to feel like a shield that protects us, not a hammer that might crush us.
Core was taken aback. No one had ever spoken to him like that. He opened his mouth to argue, but then he remembered the rule. He closed it and just stood there, processing her words. It was a powerful moment. The silence was more meaningful than all the shouting we had done before. Then it was Seyra's turn to speak to Zara.
Zara, your mind is a brilliant gift. Your strategies are flawless. But when you reduce everything to numbers, you make my contributions feel meaningless. My harmony flow is not just a dance. It's how my people build trust and unity. It's our way of connecting our spirits. When you dismiss it as a low percentage exercise, you dismiss my culture and my heart.
Zara's face softened. She looked down at her tablet as if seeing it for the first time, not as a tool of logic, but as a barrier she had put up between herself and the team. The feedback huddle was brutal, but it was honest, and for the first time, we were actually communicating. The feedback huddle was a step forward, but it also opened up old wounds. The honesty was raw, and not everyone was ready to handle it. When it was Tico's turn to give feedback to Core, the big warrior had reached his limit. He stood up abruptly, his massive frame casting a shadow over our circle.
I have heard enough. I am a warrior, not a feelings sharer. I was brought here to win, not to sit in a circle and talk about my emotional state. If this is how the Galactic Guardians operate, then you can operate without me.
His words hit us like a physical blow. Before any of us could react, Core turned and stormed out of the arena. He didn't look back. The sound of his heavy footsteps faded, leaving us in a stunned, deafening silence. Tico looked like he was about to cry. Seyra drooped, her usual graceful posture gone. Even Zara seemed at a loss, her tablet hanging uselessly by her side. Our team, already fractured, had just shattered. We had lost our strongest player right before the biggest game of our lives. The weight of his absence was immediate and crushing. It felt like our last hope had just walked out the door, leaving us to face the consequences alone. News travels fast in the Stardust Coliseum. Within minutes, it seemed like everyone knew that Core had quit. Our rivals, the Solar Flares, were practically celebrating. We could hear their confident laughter from their side of the arena. Their captain, a slick-looking being with scales that shimmered like oil on water, swaggered over to our practice area. "Heard you lost your big guy. Too bad. We were looking forward to a real competition. I guess this will just be a warm-up for us." His words were like salt in an open wound, and we had no comeback. He was right. Without Core, we stood no chance. The first half of the championship match was a nightmare. The Solar Flares ran circles around us. They exploited the massive hole in our defense left by Core. They were faster, stronger, and more coordinated. Tico was too terrified to use his speed effectively, constantly looking over his shoulder as if expecting to be tackled. Seyra's elegant moves were easily countered by their aggressive, straightforward tactics. Zara's brilliant strategies were useless because we couldn't execute them. At halftime, the score was 50-0. The crowd was booing us. We trudged back to the locker room, defeated and demoralized. The dream was over. The locker room was silent, filled only with the sound of our own heavy breathing, and the distant roar of the crowd. Defeat hung in the air like a thick fog. We were broken, embarrassed, and on the verge of giving up completely. I knew this was my last chance. This was the moment where a facilitator had to do more than just facilitate. I had to connect. I took a deep breath and looked at my devastated team. "Forget the score," I said, my voice softer than usual. "Let's forget the game for a minute. Let's just be real with each other. Why are we really here? What are we really afraid of?"
"I'm afraid of everything," he admitted, his big eyes welling up with tears. "Back on my home planet, my people are known for being timid. I came here to prove that a Kaelan could be brave. I wanted to be a hero for them. But I'm not. I'm just scared."
His confession was so pure and honest that it changed the energy in the room. Suddenly, this wasn't about a game anymore. It was about a little guy trying to be brave for his whole world. We all felt a pang of empathy.
My people believe perfection is the only path to honor, she said, her voice trembling slightly. I practice every day to be flawless, but I put so much pressure on myself that I can't connect with anyone. My secret ambition is not just to win, but to feel like I belong, to make a real friend. I've been so focused on being perfect that I forgot how to be a teammate.
She looked at Zara, who was listening intently.
I hide behind my data because I'm not good with people, she confessed. I analyze everything because I'm scared of saying the wrong thing. My secret ambition is to lead a team with my heart, not just my head.
As they spoke, something incredible happened. The door to the locker room slid open, and there stood Kor. He had been listening from the hallway. His face, usually a mask of stone, was filled with an emotion I couldn't quite place.
"My people believe showing emotion is a sign of weakness," he said, his voice low and rumbling. "I was taught to be a warrior, to be strong above all else. But my greatest fear is failing my team. I left because I felt like I'd already failed you. My ambition was to make my father, a great general, proud, but he always told me a true leader protects his team, and I wasn't doing that."
In that moment, we weren't humans, a Zephyrian, a Kaelan, or a Gromach. We were just 5 beings, sharing our deepest fears and dreams. We walked back onto that field a completely different team. The score was still a ridiculous 50-0 against us, but honestly, it didn't matter anymore. We weren't playing to win the cup, we were playing for each other. We were playing for the scared little guy who wanted to be brave, for the graceful dancer who wanted a friend, for the brilliant analyst who wanted to lead with her heart, and for the mighty warrior who just wanted to make his father proud. We were playing for Imran, our facilitator, who never gave up on us.
The solar flares looked smug and relaxed, expecting an easy win. They had no idea what was coming.
The second half began, and the change was immediate. It was pure magic.
Tico, you're the distraction. Kor, you're the wall. Seyra, get ready for the pass.
Tico, no longer afraid, zipped across the field with breathtaking speed, drawing the attention of 3 defenders. He wasn't just running, he was dancing, weaving a pattern of joyful chaos. The solar flares were so confused they didn't know who to follow. This gave Kor the space he needed. He stood his ground, not as an angry aggressor, but as an unmovable protector, shielding his teammates from harm. Zara saw an opening and passed the energy ball. But she didn't just throw it. She threw it with a gentle arc, a pass that was easy for Seyra to catch.
I leaped into the air, not with a needlessly flashy move, but with purposeful grace.
She caught the ball and in one fluid motion sent it flying toward the goal. It scored. The crowd, which had been booing us, went silent for a second, then erupted into a confused cheer. We scored again and again. We were a symphony of teamwork. Kor protected Tico. Tico created openings for Seyra. Seyra trusted Zara's calls, and I cheered them on, my heart swelling with pride. The solar flares were in shock. Their perfect strategy fell apart against our unpredictable, heartfelt teamwork. They were a team of skilled players, but we had become a family. In the final seconds of the game, with the score tied, Tico zipped past the last defender, Kor cleared his path, and Seyra scored the winning goal right as the buzzer sounded. We had won. The stadium exploded. We had pulled off the most impossible comeback in the history of the Galactic Cup. We rushed to the center of the field and piled on top of each other in a joyous laughing heap. We had done it. Not as individuals, but as one. The celebration on the field was wild. Confetti in our team colors rained down from the dome of the Stardust Coliseum, glittering in the neon lights. But the most incredible moment came after we received the trophy.
The captain of the Solar Flares, the same scaly guy who had sneered at us earlier, walked over to our huddle. His arrogant swagger was gone, replaced by a look of genuine curiosity and respect. He didn't look angry or bitter about the loss. He just looked amazed. He extended a hand to me, and I shook it firmly.
"I don't understand what happened," the captain said, looking at each of us. "We analyzed your every move. We had a perfect plan to counter each of you individually. But that thing you did in the second half, we've never seen anything like it. You weren't just playing a game, you were connected."
We just learned how to trust each other.
The Solar Flares captain nodded slowly, his eyes wide with a newfound understanding. He saw that our victory wasn't just about skill, it was about something deeper. Then, he did something that shocked me even more than our victory. He turned to me. "You're the facilitator, right, Imran?" he asked. I nodded, surprised he even knew my name. "Whatever you did with them in that locker room," he continued, gesturing to my team, "we need it. Our team is good, but we're not a family like you guys. Would you consider running a workshop for us? We'll pay you, of course." Other teams who had been watching from the sidelines started to gather around, all asking similar questions. They didn't just want to know our strategy, they wanted to know our secret to unity. That was the real victory. It wasn't the shiny cup or the roar of the crowd, it was the respect we had earned from our rivals. We hadn't just won a game, we had shown the entire galaxy a new way to be a team. We proved that vulnerability isn't weakness, it's the foundation of trust. We showed them that sharing your fears can be more powerful than hiding behind your strengths. As we left the arena, teams weren't just congratulating us on our win, they were asking us how they could learn to be more like us. We had started a revolution of teamwork, all because we dared to be honest with each other. The feeling of triumph was overwhelming. The cheers, the trophy, the newfound respect. It was everything I had ever hoped for. I stood there, soaking it all in, my arm around Kor's massive shoulders, laughing with Zara, Seyra, and Tico. The neon lights of the Stardust Coliseum swirled around us in a beautiful, victorious haze. Everything felt perfect, almost too perfect. The lights began to blur, the sounds of the crowd started to fade, becoming distant and muffled, like I was hearing them from underwater. The world around me grew soft and fuzzy, and a warm, comfortable feeling washed over me. It was all so wonderful, so incredibly...
Imran, wake up!
A familiar voice cut through the dreamlike fog. My eyes fluttered open. The dazzling neon lights of the Stardust Coliseum were gone. Instead, I saw the soft glow of a nightlight in our bedroom. The towering figure of Kor was replaced by the gentle face of my wife, Shulan, leaning over me with a concerned smile. The roar of the intergalactic crowd was just the gentle hum of the air conditioner. I was in my own bed, tangled in my blankets. It had all been a dream. The whole epic adventure, the rivalries, the feedback huddle, the impossible victory. It was all in my head. I sat up blinking, trying to separate the vivid reality of the dream from the quiet calm of my bedroom. What happened? I mumbled, still half convinced I should be holding a trophy.
You were yelling in your sleep. You kept shouting things like, "Kor, you're the wall." And trust the harmony flow, Zara. You were having a very intense dream, my love.
I looked at my hands, half expecting them to be holding a facilitator's clipboard, but they were just my own empty hands. It felt so real.
Come on, sleepyhead. You need to get up now. You were so loud you woke the baby. Plus, you promised you would make your famous teamwork pancakes for breakfast this morning, and I'm holding you to it. The team is hungry.
I fell back against the pillows, a wide grin spreading across my face. A process facilitator, a warrior, a dancer, an analyst, and a speedster. And now, a pancake chef for my own little team. It seemed my work was never done, whether I was awake or asleep. Even though it was just a dream, the feelings and the lessons stayed with me long after I woke up. As I stood in the kitchen flipping pancakes, I couldn't stop thinking about my dream team. I thought about Kor, the big warrior who learned that true strength means protecting others, not just being tough. His journey from a harsh commander to a caring guardian was a powerful reminder that leadership isn't about giving orders, it's about creating safety. It made me reflect on how I lead my own family and my teams at work. Do I lead with force, or do I lead with support? The dream showed me that a protective shield is always better than a sharp sword. I thought about Seyra, the graceful artist who craved connection. She taught me that efficiency isn't everything. Sometimes the things that can't be measured are the most important. Her harmony flow wasn't just a dance, it was a ritual of trust. In our fast-paced world, we often dismiss things we don't understand, just like Zara dismissed Seyra's methods. But the dream reminded me to look for the heart behind the action. Teamwork isn't just about executing a perfect plan, it's about honoring each other's unique gifts and cultures even if they don't fit neatly into a spreadsheet. It's about building a bridge between different worlds. Then, there was Zara and Tico. Zara, the brilliant analyst, learned that data can't solve every problem. Her biggest breakthrough came when she put down her tablet and spoke from the heart. She discovered that true leadership requires both logic and emotion. And little Tico, who felt so small and scared, found his courage not by becoming someone else, but by embracing who he was. He used his unique speed to help the team, proving that even the smallest member can make the biggest difference. Their stories were about self-discovery, about finding the courage to be vulnerable and the strength to be authentic. As Shulan and our baby came into the kitchen, I placed a stack of pancakes on a plate. I realized my dream wasn't just a silly fantasy, it was a reflection of everything I believe in. Every team, whether it's in a futuristic sports arena or around a breakfast table, faces the same challenges: fear, misunderstanding, and ego. And the solution is always the same: honesty, vulnerability, and trust. The dream was a powerful, fun reminder that when we stop seeing our differences as weaknesses and start seeing them as strengths, we can achieve the impossible. And that is a lesson worth waking up for.